Can you guys hear me? Oh, no, the people on Zoom.
I can hear you.
Counselors?
I could hear you as well.
Council President?
Yes.
We are good to. Mejia, are we good to go?
Yes, madam.
Maria, you ready? Perfect. All right. Maria, if I go too fast, please interrupt me.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, and it is now 7:07 p.m. Voting members present in the chamber is only myself, the chair of this committee, Councilor Stephanie Infante. Participating remotely, we have the vice chair, Councilor Vivian Marmo, and also the council president, Giovanni Rodriguez. Councilor LaPlante is unable to join us tonight due to personal reasons. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may either attend here in the City Council chamber or use any of our social media platforms. At this point, can you please join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, councilors, we have minutes to approve. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from our September 10th, 2025 meeting?
move.
And our January 28th, 2026 meeting. Motion
So
has
moved.
been made by the council president. Is there a second? I'll second it. Maria, I'm going to second the motion. Discussion on the minutes? Seeing none. Maria, can you please call the roll? You're muted. Let me unmute you. Okay, there you go.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, Councilor Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilor Mark LaPlante is absent, Councilor Vivian Marmo,
Yes.
Councilor Madam Chair Stephanie Infante.
Yes. And the motion carries. Councilors, the first new business item we have is item 46-26, authorization to expend $3,100,000 of the Mass Works Infrastructure Grant from the Executive Office of Economic Development. We have our Planning Director, Dan McCarthy, here with us virtually. Director McCarthy, you have the floor.
Let me unmute myself first. Good evening, everybody. I apologize for not being there. I've been ill the last few days with a flu. So I'm attending from home. There should be some participants there in the office, in the crowd as well, that will speak on behalf. Also, I had Mr. Peter Ellison from TEC Engineering was going to join us remotely as well. I don't see him right now, but I anticipate he might be joining us later. To begin with, this is a grant, a MassWorks grant. These are a grant that is done through the Executive Office of Economic Development. The grants go to cities to assist with the economic development of certain projects within the cities. The city partners with a private organization, and the money is to assist with the development of that project by providing money for infrastructure, whether that might be roadways, sidewalks, parking lots, lighting, things of that nature. We've had several projects like this in the past. They've been very successful in the city. The last one that we applied for was in teamwork with Lawrence Community Works. They've been working on a project for the last several years and going through the permitting process to construct a mixed-use development in a building called the Mariner Building. The grant that we applied for was a $3.1 million construction grant, which will cover the design costs as well. TEC Engineering drafted that project for you. In your package, you should have a breakdown, the addendum to the contract, which gives the details of that of what the contract entails, and it also gives you some site plans for that project, showing where this is going to go. This is the last parcel of land on Broadway before you reach the Methuen property line. The Stafford Street, which was severely destroyed back in the fire at the old Polartec plant, is a public street for the city of Lawrence. That street is going to be repaired to a certain level. Sidewalks, parking areas are going to be established. The plans are there. Again, I have Mr. Spencer Buchholz from Lawrence Community Works should be in the audience to speak in more detail about the about the project itself.
Spencer's
And I'm
here.
here to answer any questions that you may have.
Yep, before we get into the questions for the counselors, I will have, Spencer's here with us. Could you please say your name and address for the
So
record?
I'm Spencer Buchholz. I'm with Lawrence Community Works. My personal address is 2 Christopher
You
Lane.
could use the organization.
Okay, 168 Newbury Street, Lawrence, Mass. So this, as Mr. McCarthy was explaining, this MassWorks grant is $3.1 million that's supporting infrastructure to support the creation of a parking area, as well as storm drainage and the repaving of Stafford Street. That will all support what's the development that's going on in that area. So what we're working on is a project called the Mariner Mill, which is located at 610 Broadway, and it's a one of the giant buildings that was a part of Polartec, the last big mill before you go into Methuen. And that project is going to include 148 units of affordable housing for both a mix of 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4 bedrooms, as well as 50,000 square feet of commercial space. And that commercial space is specifically designated as community service facility space. So meaning that space has to kind of serve members of the community of Lawrence, and aimed at families making 60% of the area median income or less. And right now, the anchor tenant that we have for that space is the community group, who runs the Community Day charter school network, as well as a series of childcare facilities. So they're going to be opening up a childcare facility in about 14,000 square feet of that space that's going to serve 170 kids, ages K through 12, and also going to be adding 26 full-time positions to support that as well. And then we're in conversations with the health center. Lawrence Community Works is also looking at opening up some space there, and we're just always looking for potential commercial tenants for that space. So this MassWorks infrastructure grant will support parking that will be used for that space, as well as offering some amount of public parking as well. And that 3.1, so there's the whole project, I think, is 3.85 million. So through the project funds that we've acquired, we're putting in $750,000 for infrastructure or exterior work that's associated with it as well. So I've got a lot more information, maybe too much. But I'm happy to be in this night. Like it's too bad you guys aren't here because it's nice in here. I haven't been in here in a long time. It's very fancy now.
We had the ribbon cutting in the reopening December, so it's fairly new renovation.
Yeah, it's nice.
And we got to thank the council president for that. He spearheaded that project. So
Good job,
you
Mr.
can't see-
President.
you're not on the screen, Gio, council president, but he just went like this. Very proud of his work.
It's nice. Well, you should be here.
I get it. We're still dealing with storm. I'm not gonna be too
I'm just-
nitpicky tonight, but they know next time for sure.
Exactly.
Counselors, now that we have the complete presentation, do you have any questions either for Spencer or for Director McCarthy?
Questions?
Counselor Marmol.
Through you, Madam Chair. I'm glad to hear that this is based on a grant because going over the details, I am seeing that this parking lot that will be created is for 178 spaces, but out of the 178, only 8 will be geared towards public. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes. 8 will be strictly public, but then an additional 60 of those are kind of shared use for the commercial space. So for people that are the general public that are coming for the commercial space will be able to use and have access to those spots. And then I think there are some additional ones as well that are for the commercial space, but I'm not sure if which ones are fully in the MassWorks scope. But I can look real quick.
I mean, I'm glad you're mentioning the 60 are for sure, because that's actually confusing me in a way. Because it sounds like those 60 are meant to be for the public as well, if they're going to partake in businesses.
Correct.
So is it 60 or is it 68?
No, I mean, well, it's 8 that are exclusively for the city of Lawrence, but there's an additional, like all of the commercial space. So it would be people that are going to the commercial space could use those 60 spaces. But a member of the public couldn't just park there overnight if they had no business in the commercial space or with the residences.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing something along the lines of 25 new jobs will be created as a result of this project. Are these going towards hiring folks within the city of Lawrence? How does that, could you go into detail as to how that will?
So then the 25 is probably probably an underestimate, because we know that the community group plans to at least locate 26 positions here. I couldn't speak to where, if those jobs would specifically be held for Lawrence residents. I don't think that there's a restriction on that, but the community group is a good local organization that does a lot of hiring locally, and so we could assume that Lawrence Community Works is also planning to open up to use 5,000 square feet of that space, and the majority of our staff lives in the city of Lawrence. So my guess is that most of the positions will, be catered towards the folks that live in Lawrence, but there won't be specifically a restriction on that, if that's your question.
No, not at all. And I understand, and I also understand based on what the specified, what it entails, in terms of whether it's electrical work, whether it's framing, plumbing. So
Yeah, I'm not actually, sorry, and I wasn't thinking specifically about these are just permanent jobs, not the construction jobs. I don't have the numbers on that.
Jobs, not for the site project. These are permanent jobs?
Yes. Yes. The construction, if we were to put the number for construction jobs, it would be up in the hundreds. And for that, I can't tell you right now, but there is a local hiring preference on that. And but I'd have to go back. I'm not prepared to tell you exactly what those numbers are, but I could follow up.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just, I slightly misunderstood.
Yeah, because the whole project. So I mean the I believe that the whole site is around 7 acres, and this is a big. There's a lot of site work, and the MassWorks is specifically focused on the site work piece of that. But the actual redevelopment of the mill it's a massive project. I mean, the mill itself is I want to say it's like 375,000 square feet that's being redeveloped, and for now it's largely vacant. I mean, it is vacant space into, 148 residences plus
Who owns
the
the
commercial
mill?
space. Lawrence Community Works Lawrence Community Works owns the mill, part of it. So if you look at the mill, it's actually there's 2/3 of it from Broadway heading west is owned by Lawrence Community Works, and then it's a condo. So Trinity fixed up the last third of the building, and that's La Fabrica lofts are down there, which is also an affordable housing development.
Is this project going to cause any issues or challenges with like flow of traffic or in the impediment of residents nearby?
There's not a lot. I mean, that part of the work that the city is doing with the MassWorks, I know that there's a lot of work around, and Dan, you can speak to the traffic lighting stuff that's going on around the Arlington Street. But we're working a lot on figuring out the flow of traffic within our site itself. And so, figuring out how we manage the childcare drop-offs and pickups with the residences there. But there's not a lot of residences that live right directly adjacent to that are not a part of the mills themselves.
Okay. And the last thing I'll add is like,
But
I'm not
no,
sure
but
if
I
you
will
guys-
say, like, there are going to be a lot more people living there. I mean, I don't want to be.
So to answer your question, yes, Counselor Marvel.
so there-
The other
okay.
thing that I wanted
any,
to add.
Any redevelopment, whether if it's a positive thing, as Spencer mentioned, is just a location that's been empty, but it is being redeveloped. Businesses are coming, more residents. Anything that adds on to an already overpopulated community obviously comes with its challenges, even when it's a positive project.
Right. And I would add one piece of this MassWorks is also to add a bus, the stand, the bus stand. So we worked with MIVA we're going to be providing that as a part of this. So there's a bus stop with the stand and the overhang that's included in this MassWorks application.
Okay. The last thing I'll just add, and I'm not sure if you guys are currently doing this, but every time I see projects of this nature, I always think about ways that we could incorporate our youth in the city, especially our vocational students. So if there are any roles that they could assist when it comes to these type of projects, if that's something that you guys could keep in mind when, adding.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I know that and we've actually done this before. It is kind of tricky because of the timing, but I know apprenticeship programs and like getting some of the students at the Voc to connect with, we Delphi Construction, who did the previous project that we just did at 30 and 20 Island Street, we had met with the Voc to see if we could actually like connect with some of the subcontractors and like specifically within the HVAC trades and some of those things, because that is a really good point. And the timing didn't quite work out, but now that you bring that up, I will bring that up to the construction team to see if there is the potential of some apprenticeship opportunities for kids at the Voc, because that is something that we have explored in the past, and it just never kind of came together.
Yeah, it seems to be not overshadowed, but it just seems to be often like forgotten, or we don't think about it as much. So I just want to make sure every time I come across projects, like I said, of this nature, if there's any opportunities that we could include our youth in order for them to like gain hands-on experience, but also take pride in partaking in these projects that are in the city that most of them live in. So it's nice for them to start gaining this experience, and if there's a way to kind of fit them in, that I would personally appreciate that. And if there's anything along the lines or creating some sort of pipeline for them to, this could be one of many future projects that we could start considering them to be participants in. But thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
Counselor.
all set. Chair.
I have
Thank
a
you,
quick question,
Counselor
Madam Chair.
Marvel. Council President.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Lawrence Community Work, for, this project has been on the making for quite some time. Just to be clear, so the development that we're talking about, the $3.1 million, is towards the parking lot, not towards the project that is going to be developed on the mill, correct?
Correct, except that the parking lot will support the mill project. I mean, the
Yeah.
bulk of the parking for that project is in this parking lot.
Yeah, the contract is going to be between the city of Lawrence and the state.
Correct.
All right. So I wanna at the end of one of my final question would be related to that contract. So we need to talk about the insurance on that contract. I know that is for the best interest of the city, but we need to mention that. But that's gonna be at the end. So in the meantime, I want to talk about a couple of things about the project. When we are talking about that, you say it's 100% affordable, but when we talk about the affordability, what type of affordability is that? Is it 30, 40, 60?
Yeah, it's I did print this out. So they're 30, 50, and 60%
Okay.
AMI. So there's 37 30% units, 18 50%, and 60 or 93 60%.
Okay, so the affordability, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually you will do a lottery for those recipients, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, tell me about the priority list, the priority of that recipients, how they're going to be prioritized.
As far as like, are we having a local requirement for a certain percentage to be?
Yeah,
have a
just
lower
in general,
insurance?
any type of priority that you guys gonna put into it. So I don't want to put any on your head. So just tell me in general.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, so I'd have to get back to you. I'm assuming that there's a local preference requirement, and I know that there's a restriction on what the end of that, what that requirement can be, as part of the fair housing law stuff. So I think it's like 70%, but I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. And I
No,
can
no
follow
problem.
up.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
we conversate those.
yeah.
So another thing that I wanted to ask, when it comes to, I mean, you're gonna bring that information over to us, but when it comes to the recipient, are they gonna be mostly people that live in Lawrence, or it's gonna be open to anybody from the state
Are you saying
and
on the
on the lottery portion of it?
Well, that's what I have to get back to you on. I'm not
Okay.
sure what I believe that there is a local preference on this project. And I know that on previous projects, we've been capped at doing that at 70%. of
Okay,
the
just
units.
I just want to know like for a reason. So and then after that, it's gonna be I'm gonna ask you another question.
Yeah. But I'm gonna have to follow up because I
All right.
don't know.
No
Yeah.
problem. The reason why I'm asking that question is because obviously we want to we want to be, we want to prefer, as far as the city is concerned. I mean, if we are getting into a contract with the state related to these projects, so we want to make sure, like, the preference is the city of Lawrence residents. That's the first thing. And the reason for that is because if it is a Lawrence preference, to the top until allowed to. Uh, and any of that will be related to the school system. So if they're already living here,
Yep.
if they have kids, the kids is just gonna transfer from one school to another school,
Yep.
but not necessarily gonna be adding more new students to the schools overpopulated system that we already have.
Yep.
So that's why I'm very particular about that specifics when it comes to local residents and preference.
Yeah, and
So
that and I would say that our properties and our our lotteries. So we've done an analysis on this, and it's pretty much around 75%, regardless of whether or not we have a local preference on the project or not. 75% have
I'm pretty
come
sure, yeah.
to us with prior Lawrence addresses.
Yeah, got it.
But it's a good, and it is an interesting question because we've met with many years ago when I was in a slightly different role. I was pushing this at Lawrence Community Works and also working with the school department just on like forecasting and planning for movement around the city with various schools. And so, it is an interesting question about like where are people located.
Yeah, definitely.
But I can
So
get
you
back to
mentioned
you
that.
on that. But I will say that even if we have a 70%, which is likely what it would be if there is a local preference on this project, we typically do have a higher percentage. We'll have a Lawrence address that apply for our lotteries. I think it was like 90% on the Island Parkside projects that we just leased up.
Okay. No, and the thing is like, so a lot of time when this type of projects come in front of us, we don't analyze the potential of because a lot of people might not think like, it's a displacement included on the affordable housing.
Yeah.
And there is also displacement within because there is other people coming from other communities, and we also need to look into that. I mean, displacement or gentrification perhaps is not only in one section of it. It could be multiple factor within the whole general idea of displacement or gentrification. Also, that part of it, it's mostly ignored by a lot people that actually do the studies on these type of topics. But I mean, it is a reality as well. So it could be a displacement within the affordable housing. Sometimes even more aggressively, because I mean, a lot more people are in needs nowadays. So we need to be aware of that, and we need to create the specifics, specifically when it comes to this type of contract that we're going to be signing. And that's the thing. So I'm pretty sure that the council memo already touched on this, which is local hiding. And stuff like that when it comes to the parking lot, when it comes to the building, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure that you guys are very aware that we would like all those funds to stay with the local economy. Another question that I have is, so have you put any numbers when it comes to the enrollment of our school from students, especially when they're not necessarily on the school system and then they join the school system after a project that was created with an intent of having more apartments within the city of Lawrence?
No,
Have you guys,
I have no. I mean, it's been a long
no?
time since I've wrapped my mind fully around that, so no, I
Yeah, I
haven't.
mean, this is maybe a good opportunity to kind of go back and take a look at that and see the strategies. All right. I was looking at my map, and when it comes to the boundaries of the property, it is right. Basically, this is the last street of the city of Lawrence before you get to Methuen. A little bit of this of the new bank, DCU is part of Lawrence as well as that old mill in the back, about less than 25%. But thank you for uh, keep on working on these type of projects, which take long time. I remember that we went over maybe in 2019 or
Yeah,
something like that around that time.
yeah, we purchased the building in 2018, and yeah, it was slated to be a self-storage facility. So
Yeah, I know. What are you guys gonna do with the local vendors that you guys have? You guys have the Carnaval up there.
I mean, they're all going to be moving on to different spaces. I don't know exactly what their plans are. And I'm not sure if, I mean, the community service facility space, that would be in the commercial space has very kind of specific restrictions that it does have to be, you know, serving people of the community under a certain income range. So I don't know if they would fit, but I'm not sure what their plans are. I can find out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they serve a lot of kids within the community,
Yeah.
within the culture of Carnaval
Yeah.
and folklore, which is basically a lot of what Councilor Mamo was referring to include the youth. They do have a good amount of young kids going over and practice, and also be craft all that stuff that they put in. I have visited the site. My son was part of that carnival as well, and I'm pretty familiar with what they do. So if at some point you guys can develop that conversation around
Well, yeah, I think we should
potentially
try.
finding out a way to incorporate that organization
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that
into
would
the
be great.
project, which is basically fulfill the need of the youth getting involved into culture and stuff like that. That would be good and key
Yeah,
to
and I
support
mean, along those
local
notes,
organizations.
any other, I mean, we definitely would welcome any help or kind of ideas for commercial tenants that are exactly as you're saying, like that are serving the community that would fit into this space. Like if you have businesses or nonprofits or organizations that are looking for space, like we would be more than happy to, like that's exactly, we've got plenty of space and we're looking for people. I mean, the timeline is a little bit tricky, but you know, because we wouldn't be we're not going to be occupying the space until probably the summer of 2028 because it's about a 2-year construction period and we're probably going to kick off construction in the summer. But I'll definitely follow up on, I'll follow up with John Harden, my boss, just to see if he's, you know, what the plans are with Carnival, like what their next steps are. I mean, there's an interim plan during construction, obviously, but it's 2 years.
Of course, yes, I agree. So one of my last questions before we allow McCarthy to kind of like elaborate around the contract and
I have
fulfilling our
questions as well.
responsibilities. There is always a misperception about nonprofit organization not paying taxes around the public. I just want to take this opportunity or next meeting when if this item goes up to the full council to elaborate around that as of how much taxes this project might bring up to the city of Lawrence when it comes to that. I think that will be a great opportunity to bring this up as well. So if you don't have those numbers now,
I don't have
maybe
those
for next
numbers, but I'll
week.
tell you that it's going to be a huge tax bill.
How many,
I know
how
that.
many follow-up questions do you have there written? Because we might have to table this item if we have so much follow-up
Okay.
questions.
I've got to check on what the local preference requirements for the lottery on the project, to check on the local hiring requirements for the construction jobs, to check on what is the, just what are the plans with what's for Carnival, and then the estimated taxes.
All right, so we have 4 so far. Okay.
I-
But
My bad. Maybe I missed
Madam Chair,
something.
all those questions are related to the main project, which is the mill, not necessarily the parking lot.
The actual grant, yep.
Yeah.
So
So
my,
we can have that as part of the informational portion of it. But I mean, I think that when it comes to the project and the $3.1 million that we're dealing with,
it doesn't
we can
really
move the item. I mean,
directly
I have
relate.
issues with it.
So, okay, so my understanding is this $1.3 million grant, $3.1 million grant is for the parking lot. Okay,
Parking and roadway on Stafford
Okay.
Street.
my understanding as well is that the city of Lawrence is a partner in this, but there's only going to be 8 public spaces.
That's correct.
That's not sitting well with me, because if we're gonna be a partner in this, we're only getting 8 spaces back, while this project, I've been, when it comes to redevelopment, we've had the LRA before us, et cetera. I have an issue with redevelopment in terms of the city portion of it, where we don't have a master plan, we're lacking in important essential services, that it's not up to par with what the population that we have currently today. And as much as I love Lawrence Community Works, I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite because it's Lawrence Community Works. I still have those same concerns. One thing I am going to say though is, I do like the fact that you guys are trying to combat affordability. One, as we know, when we have parties come before the city council and when they try to make an argument that we're lacking housing, one thing that I consistently say is the issue is that there's not housing. The issue is that there's a lack of affordable housing,
Correct.
which I'm sure you guys
Yeah.
know, as that's just your
Yeah.
specialty. But in terms of the actual grant and thinking about the overall project and how it's going to change that area and add to the congestion of that area, it's not sitting well with me that it's only 8 parking spots. So I guess I want to know how many commercial spaces are you guys planning to have within this project, and how many residential?
The commercial, so there's going to be a total of 227 parking spaces.
Okay.
137 are residential exclusive.
Okay.
60 are common, which would be available to both commercial or residential.
Okay.
And 30 are dedicated commercial. And then there's the 8 that are exclusive for public use
Public.
on
Okay, so
Stafford
how many
Street.
commercial, so we have 137 residential, so I'm assuming, is that equivalent to 137 units?
It's not, well, because that unit count comes in, it's 140, there's 148 units.
148 units, okay.
But the residences have access to 197 the spaces, but 60 of those are shared. Does that make sense?
No, you lost me at, so there's 140,
Right, so it's
148
not-
units,
it's
but
not
there's an
exactly-
access of 197 units?
Correct. Because the 148 units, there's 137 that are only for the residents, right? But then there's also 60 that the residents would have access
Okay,
to.
I get, okay, now I'm following. Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
how many commercial units
Commercial,
or spaces?
like parking spaces.
No, like physical
Oh.
dedicated spaces.
Well, there's 45,000 square feet approximately.
Okay, 45.
And as of right now, we only have 2 tenants lined up for that. So it really could be, we don't know at this time.
Okay, and then,
Because it's the community group is our anchor tenant, and then we'll be,
filling
filling
as you
it
go.
as we
Got it.
go.
Got it.
Exactly. And it's, again, because the lease up, they won't actually occupy the space until the summer of 2028, if everything goes as planned.
Okay, summer 2028. All right, and then for, if I heard this correctly, you mentioned, is it a lottery?
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
And how is that lottery conducted? Do you guys use a third-party independent company?
We have used, our management company has typically, so PBD Properties is our current management company. It used to be First Realty Management. We just made the switch. They are a management company that manages a lot of different portfolios throughout the state. And so we have to come up with a very detailed tenant selection plan
Okay.
that gets vetted. So this project is a low-income housing tax credit project that has a whole bunch of different funding sources that come through the state. And so there's a lot of regulations on how you do the lottery. And so there's a public notice period that is a certain amount of time prior to the start of the lottery, and we have to advertise in all the local papers, but we also have to advertise throughout the state to make sure that we are hitting a variety of population types so that we are in compliance with fair housing law. And then the lottery gets, then when people apply, they get put in different buckets, and it's a random selection using like a computer program.
All right, thank you. This information is definitely helpful. As I mentioned, I do have reservations. I don't agree with the fact that we're going to be a partner in this, and there's only 8 public parking spaces reserved for the public, especially calculating the long-term domino effect of that being developed. Although it's a great idea, and I do appreciate, like I mentioned, the affordability component, but as I mentioned in city council meetings prior, when we have projects like this, we tend to focus on the moment and not with the challenges that comes years from now. And that's the way I'm seeing it every time I get a development item in front of me. But that's where I am with that.
Can I just say, can I add something? So I get where you're coming from. I understand like that what that feels like, where it's only 8 spaces. I would say that there's a lot of things that that Lawrence Community Works needs to do to leverage the ability to have the funds to do projects like this.
Right.
And the reality is, like, the way, and whether you agree or councilors agree or not, like, we really do, Lawrence Community Works isn't we make money to, like, the way that our organization works is that we do our housing developments. Any income that gets generated in our housing developments then goes into to fund our programming side, right? And so we do English classes based on that, or we do our youth movement city programming based on that, or our financial programs.
My mom used to be a volunteer English teacher at Lawrence Community Works a few years ago.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah, so
So,
I'm very familiar with it.
But like for us to be able to do the affordable housing developments that we do, like, we have to like scrape together every piece of funding that we can do. And it's like really expensive the way that we have to develop it, because We just are held to very high standards based on the funding sources that we're applying to. And so being able to, the city of Lawrence doesn't have a lot of funds. Like, we don't have Community Preservation Act, which would be a huge help to an organization like us. Like, really the only funding source that the city has to give to Lawrence Community Works on projects like this is the federal home funds that it receives. And we have gotten federal home funds on this project, but this is like, $100+ million project. And of that, we've gotten, I think, from the city, we've gotten, I can't remember exactly. I think that we're trying to get it up to like $1 million in home funds. And so it's the way that we build these projects. And so though there's only 8 kind of unrestricted public parking spaces, we do see like all of this is really like for the city of Lawrence. Yes, it's totally has an ownership structure based on the low-income housing tax credit project, but like this is our mission. Like, we're not just a regular old private developer that's like hoarding this stuff for us. Like, we see everything we're doing as in partnership with the city, and like being able to work with the city to get more funds from the state in the form of a MassWorks grant that can help support infrastructure that would support these housing projects is like one tool that's been really helpful for us. And so I get it, because I get it. Like, it does feel like, is the city really only getting 8 spaces for $3.1 million? But that's, I think that it's really, it's more than that. And I would love to see, I would hope that we can like change the narrative around it, because I'm like in the walls of Lawrence Community Works every day, and I feel like we get like sometimes pigeonholed into this, like, we're another developer, but most of the folks who are there, like, are working really hard for many, many hours, not a lot of pay, to make the city a better place.
I'm not going in that, sorry to interrupt you, I'm not going in that direction. What I'm speaking of is, I mean, you're like I mentioned, you're addressing one issue, which is affordability, but the domino effect of, and it's not Lawrence Community Works. This is more on the city side. That what I'm frustrated about is more on the city side than anything else. It's increasing our population, right? Increasing housing, not having enough funding for essential services, not having a master plan for the city. This, regardless if the developer is a nonprofit or a private developer, these foundational issues do not change.
Yeah.
So it's not, it has nothing to do, I know, I'm very familiar with Lawrence Community Works and what they do for the community, but I also have constituents that watch me as an individual counselor every time I sit in the seat, and I can't sit here and give you a different messaging compared to what I've said to private developers during these meetings.
Yeah.
Because again, like I mentioned, it's still the same foundational issues. And I hope, and I know, Dan, you hear me saying this all the time. Dan is probably tired of me saying this, but I hope you guys do take this back and actually do something about it, because we're getting more and more projects, but we keep ignoring the underlying cracks in our foundation. And this city, figuratively speaking, will collapse if we don't get it, if we don't bring everything up to speed to support the rapid growth that we are seeing in this community. So it's less you guys, but more the foundational aspect of it. But I appreciate your advocacy, because that's exactly why they
Yeah,
send
and
me
I mean, I
here.
would just like finally, like in the Island Park side, both of those lotteries, we had 40, both were 40-unit buildings. We had 1,000 applicants, and again, like I think 90% of those applicants had a Lawrence address.
Yeah.
They're looking for this kind of housing, and we're like, we can't. That's what we're hearing too from
And we
our
talk about
constituents.
it.
Like
I mean,
we can't develop it fast enough.
Yeah, and we talk about it. I mean, I'm not the only. I think Council President has mentioned it before. Affordability. I know definitely Council Marmol has mentioned it before. So I'm not surprised that you've seen over 1,000 applications. It's definitely needed. But that's just one foundational factor of the overall picture, and I hope someday we can figure that out. That's a bigger discussion, but just
Well, I
putting it
do
out
think
there.
that we would be more than happy to be a part of a bigger planning process. I mean, every time that I've talked with Councilor LaPlante about this, I feel like, and I know how he feels about this. We've talked about it a lot, and I totally respect, I get it. Like, these are complicated issues. Yeah, we would welcome to be a part of like a bigger conversation around this.
I hope I hope the city reaches out. I'm not going to be the Debbie Downer and not support this because like I mentioned, affordability is a huge component of the foundation. So I at least want to end with I thank you guys for addressing that in this project. But those are my underlining concerns.
Yeah, thank you.
I heard previously that Council President had some questions regarding the contract itself. Do you still have those questions, Council President?
I do. One question.
Okay, you have the
So,
floor.
Mr. McCarthy, can you give us an insight of how the city managed this type of contract? And what are the assurance of this contract in case the assurance built in that are built in within the contract to make sure that the city is in a good place?
Certainly, certainly I can. And maybe to answer that question and maybe some of Stephanie's concerns, I'll go back to and just talk about the program of MassWorks. That MassWorks is a program, and it's not a transportation fund. Primarily, it comes out of the Department of Economic Development, and the concerns that I think Councilor Infante stated are things that the city's talked about a lot of times. That when we get these big economic projects coming up, the city has to bear a lot of costs for the infrastructure surrounding these, and we have to bear those costs. So what the state has done is they made a program that's available so that some of the costs of fixing the streets and improving the lighting and improving the sidewalks and all that stuff that's part of this project will be borne by a grant and by the state, so it doesn't come out of tax dollars. So that's important. The way the contract's going to be handled, it'll be done through the public procurement process and through the bidding process, but we'll have some control over, once that person is selected through the state procurement process. I know that you're familiar with these things, how it works, and that's TEC was hired back as the primary engineering to help with design works and to help us with the filings of these grants. They'll also be doing some of the contract oversight on this, but we will be hiring an independent contractor that has experience. It's approved by both state and federal guidelines. It's on the appropriate list for that. I know in the past we've done things like job fairs and other things. Those we can ask the contractor that's hired for those as an ask, and same thing with the public requirements for jobs. All those are things that we always request when we're doing a project like this, whether it's a rail trail or it's a school construction project or an infrastructure project like that. The other, I think, important aspect of this contract is that it's part of several projects together that we're working with on this area of Broadway. We also have another grant. We're going to be putting new lights in at the intersection of Arlington Street and Broadway. That's just adjacent to this. That is part of the Safe Streets to School project that we're working on for the Arlington School. We're going to be doing the entire Arlington Street corridor, so that's going to kind of working with us. We've also got a grant through MVPC partnering with Methuen to do some transportation improvements, and I forget the numbers on that grant, but I can provide them to you. But we'll be looking at intersections on Route 28 in both Lawrence and Methuen, trying to come up with solutions on the traffic problems that we currently have, and trying to ease the burden of traffic, make the traffic flow smoother, and just generally working this. that part of Broadway is one of the areas that we all call a gateway. It's one of the areas you see when you enter the city. And by putting these funds in, if you look at on page 3 of the breakdown I gave you, there's a funding source and shows where the money is going to. So a lot of that money, like there's
Sorry, did you say
600
page 2 or 3? I didn't.
It's on page 3 of 9 on the
Okay, thank you.
on the, it's called the attachment A, terms and conditions. So $850,000 goes to roadways. And also about $300,000 will go into the water and sewer drainage. So we're gonna be putting in infrastructure, water infrastructure, that's gonna be taking some of the water from the public street will be on land owned by LCW. And that will be draining, and that will be treating that water to prevent flooding and to have that way. This part of the city is actually a separated sewer system. So that's where a lot of the funding's going to. If you look at 600,000 of it is just gonna go to sidewalks, in curbing, in landscaping. And that is all primarily on city land to make that area look better. And then there's another $250,000 just for on the electric, and that's all gonna be public street lighting. So I know it sounds like when you talk about the parking spaces, it sounds like, this is a gift to a private company, but it's not really, because you gotta look at it in the form of, this is coming from the Department of Economic Development. It's a grant, and it's to improve the situation, the parking and the street structure and the traffic and all those elements that go into this neighborhood. So from the city side, we're happy because this is gonna be improving the neighborhood. And from LCW side as a partner, they're gonna be as I think Spencer did a good job pointing out, they are investing a lot of money into this. And it'll be a great improvement to the city. That's my feeling. I don't know if I addressed all your questions, President, but if,
Yes.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
I know that
About the
feeling.
late. Thank you. Yes, you did.
Okay, so you all set, Council President?
Yes.
Council Marmol, any other further questions or comments?
No, I'm all set. Yeah, I believe you touched on a lot of things that I had initially, had the same sentiments on. And the only reason why I kind of had a toned down version of what I really wanted to say was because of, the fact that I saw that this was a grant. But just like you, I did have the same concerns regarding the parking spaces. But I see where this project is going. And again, because I saw that this is a grant, is the only reason why I did not go as hard with my line of questions regarding the parking spaces.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess that ends this discussion. Councilors, I will entertain a motion at this point.
I'll make a motion to send it to the full council as a committee report, pending the documentation that was asked.
Second.
Motion has been made by the Council President, seconded by Council Marmol. Discussion. Maria, do you have the questions? I know Spencer wrote them down, but do you have the questions that were asked? Are you good with that?
Yes,
Okay,
I was able to write it down while he was repeating it.
okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Can we make a note to make sure that Teresa sends these questions, and I know you wrote them, but just in case on the record, to LCW?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you. And at this point, when you're ready, we can call the roll.
Sorry, I was just finished writing down. Okay. Counselor, sorry, I'm just gonna find here my notes. Counselor Vivian Marmol,
Yes.
President Giovanni Rodriguez,
Yes.
Counselor Mark LaPlante, marked absent. Counselor Madam Chair Stephanie Infante,
Yes.
Thank you, councilors, and I do want to thank everybody. I know we've had a tough couple days with the snow, and I'd like to thank you all for making sure you attended this meeting. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Spencer, we will see you on Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right,
Madam Chair,
yes, Maria.
I'm sorry, I missed Spencer's last name.
It's Buchholz. It's Buchholz.
Thank you.
All right,
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay, counselors, the next and final item we have is item 47-26, authorization to expend $100,000 of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, known as MVP, grants from the Executive Office of Energy Environmental Affairs, also from Director McCarthy. Director McCarthy, you have the floor. And we also have your colleague here, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting.
Yes,
okay.
Mr.
Rennie-
Reniel Fanini
Yeah,
is gonna
Rennie
be
Fanini.
handling this. He's the primary point person on this project, so I'll let Rennie handle it. Thank you.
Okay, name and address for the record.
So my name is Rennie Fanini, or Reniel Fanini. That's my full name. The address is 360 Merrimack Street. I'm the comprehensive planner at the City of Lawrence. So I guess I have the floor, right?
Yep, just
Okay,
tell us
so-
about the grant, the project.
So this project, the Municipality Vulnerability Preparedness Program, MVP 2.0, it's basically the continuation of MVP 1.0. And this is an important project because it basically serves as a bridge to continue on these programs by the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. So this is just a quick correction. It's $110,000. I believe you said $100,000.
That's 110,000.
Yeah. This project is a two-phase project. Basically, the first part of the project is a community-oriented project. So we have to identify community members to participate on this part. They would help identify a seed project, or in this case, advancing a community project, which we have identified as the River to Refuge on the Lower Tower Hill area. This would serve as a support to that project and continuing with the environmental affairs on that site. An important part is that the money would be distributed in two phases. The first phase is going to include $10,000, which is for translation services. One of the things that was very important for us to apply for this was the need for translation for a community that has that need for Spanish translation. Like I said, some other grants are depending on our participation on this part of MVP 2.0. And yeah, that's as much as I have for the explanation of this.
Okay.
Any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Counselors, any questions or comments? Or Director McCarthy, is there anything else you would like to add to this, or are you all set?
I think Rennie did a good job. I just want to say that we've been an MVP community since 2016, and it's being a member that is a lot like being part of the green communities or a LEED certified community. It gives us an advantage whenever we're working on grants for infrastructure in vulnerability situations. A lot of that deals with water situations, and I think the Lower Tower Hill project is a good example of that. I know the water commissioners had a lot of opportunities to use these type of fundings to improve our stormwater situation in the city, look at flooding situations, and this grant is a participatory grant that helps us just be a member in good standing with the state as we do this work. And Rennie's going to be our point person on this working. He's got an agency meeting tomorrow in Boston, I believe, but it requires a lot of participation from the state from the city to show that we are dedicated to making these changes for the citizens now and for citizens in the future.
Thank you. Counselors, any questions or comments? Counselors, seeing,
I'm all set, Madam Chair.
No questions.
okay, all right. You got it easy tonight. I will entertain a
On
motion then.
this item, he has it easy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, this item. Well, we don't have Rem here often. I think this is your first time
This
here.
is my first time
Your
in
first
front of.
time, the council, yeah. So that's
yeah.
why I'm like, oh, you got it easy tonight. All right, so I will entertain a motion, counselors.
I'll make a motion to send it to the full council without further recommendation.
Motion
Second.
has been made by the council president, seconded by the vice chair, Councilor Marmol. Discussion? Seeing none. Maria, can you please call the roll?
Sure. Counselor Marmol, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Vivian
that's okay.
Marmol.
Yes.
Yeah.
My first error.
She's a chair. No, it's okay. She's vice chair, but you know, she's still a chair, so that's not a
Yes.
mistake.
Counselor President Giovanni Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Mark LaPlante, marked absent. And Counselor Madam Chair Stephanie Fontaine.
Yes. All right. Motion
you so
carries. We
much.
will see you next week.
Thank you
And
so
best
much.
of luck in your meeting tomorrow. All right, Director McCarthy. I believe you are all set. You're muted.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Counselors, can I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, is there any other matters that you'd like to discuss? Seeing none, all right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made by the vice chair, seconded by the council president. No discussion on this. Maria, can you call the roll?
Sure. All right. Counselor Vivian Marmol.
Yes.
Counselor President Giovanni Rodriguez.
Yes.
Counselor Mark LaPlante, marked absent. And Counselor Madam Chair Stephanie Fontaine.
Yes. Thank you,
Right.
counselors and Maria. I hope you guys stayed warm, and I will see you next week if I don't see you this weekend.
Yep, we'll see you Monday again.
All right. Have a great
All
night.
right, thank
everyone.
you. Good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye.